Hello, Sarah Sabin, Executive Leadership and Intuition Coach here. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about preparedness, most specifically preparedness in the emotional intelligence slash emotional regulation sense. So I often say to my clients that they need to look at the negative or potential worst case scenarios of any situation, not to over focus on it. So I want to be very clear here. You should not obsess or over focus on things that you don't like or that you perceive as negative, but for the purposes of preparation. So, if you are going into a situation and you have thought about the risks involved, you've thought about the potential downsides, you can then make a plan to bulletproof. You can bulletproof those risks to essentially reduce the likelihood that they are going to occur. So the more prepared you are, the more you reduce the risk that the worst case scenario is actually going to happen, which is obviously great. So process there, sniff out any potential risks, downsides, worst case scenarios, create some kind of plan to prepare, get on with thrive mindset. So you're not focusing on it at the point that you've prepared. Now, that also applies in an emotional context. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're going to go into a conversation or a situation that is going to be emotionally charged. That could be for you, it could be for the other person, it could be for both of you. Now, often people run away or avoid these types of conversations because they're quote unquote scared of emotions or the other person getting upset or being emotional. But again, if you apply the law of preparedness to emotions, you actually reduce the likelihood that yourself or someone else is going to have an emotional outburst that is going to derail whatever outcome that you would like to get as a result of that situation. So, before any such situation or conversation, step number one is always to check in with yourself. So, what emotions do you have around this situation? And how can you process those emotions before you get into the conversation or situation so that you are operating from a place of emotional neutrality? Now, I talk a lot about emotional regulation techniques. So you can use any techniques from the ones that I give out or ones that you use yourself to process your emotions before you get into a conversation. And you should also have a plan of, okay, if I start to get triggered during this conversation, how am I going to create time where there is no time? So I'm sitting here having this situation happen. How can I very quickly process my emotions in the moment as well so that I stay emotionally neutral throughout? The second part of the preparedness is being prepared for the other person to have emotions. Now, the more prepared you are for this, the better. Because again, worst case scenario, let's say the person gets horrendously upset, has a tantrum, starts crying, etc. You have a plan for how you're going to deal with that, how you're going to acknowledge the emotions, how you're going to bring them forward to reach whatever outcome or solution that you want from this situation. And the irony is, of course, when you are prepared for any emotion that comes up, the way that you communicate changes, which means that the other person is less likely to have a very strong emotional response because you have already prepared for how to diffuse situations if they arise. Now, once you're confident that you can do that, you stop trying to avoid situations or conflict because you have that evidence that you can provide to yourself that you can handle whatever comes up. And you can, as long as you are prepared and accept whatever it is that comes up.